Or good evening. So this is this is the front of my home basically. Water has reached almost our ramp. So floods are not only a problem in Australia, they're also a big ass problem all across the globe. I mean, look at this place. It hasn't been raining for that long and it's almost flooded. And this is a residential area. So we have houses here and things like that, and there is drainage system. Um, Anyhow, aside from that, climate change is serious. It's not something that can be ignored. It's something that is impacting all of us directly. A lot more, a lot more than it used to in the past. This might be one of the main bigger threats regarding health, regarding mental state, as well as economically, as opposed to other problems like diseases. I mean, this flood water will actually spread diseases. We'll find people with cholera and shit like that happening soon as well. Um, it would impact farmers. Livestock would be endangered. These heavy rains are gonna impact with production of crops, because due to rain and winds and stuff like that, there won't be enough fertilization, or the small fruit buds would fall down and things like that, so you won't get that much of a harvest. There would also be lots of other problems. I mean, there were billions of dollars worth of claims in Australia, but this is not just limited to Australia. This is a problem that is taking place all across the world right now. All across the world. Um, 550 people have died so far, the reported deaths in Pakistan, the country where I am in right now. And thousands of acres of land have been devastated, villages have been destroyed. I think around 13,000 homes have been destroyed, and that's just the reported amount. Pakistan, India, Thailand, Sri Lanka, third world developing countries, they're not as developed as the Western nations. So the government in most of these countries is not going to help most of the population. Many of them are living below the poverty line, most of them, and they don't have access to clean water. How do you think they will handle this shit? Yeah, it's gonna be like a breeding ground for diseases and problems and stuff like that. How are they gonna sleep? Many people, most of them don't have a home. They live in makeshift tent houses and things like that, which would be causing more problems in the future. Um, Sleeping in this rain, in this weather. And this is sort of a global problem which needs to be addressed properly. You don't need many countries to do the work. Many countries won't. The governments are full of idiots. They're not. I mean, this just happened today that United States and China China basically ended their climate action talks with United States over their visit to Taiwan. I don't give a shit about Taiwan visit. The problems that would arise, or the good they could have done if they worked together, or whatever the pledges they would have made during their summits, won't be happening. Why? Over petty politics and shit like that. That is the case with most of the globe. People will prioritize their politics, their power, weird economic vested interest, temporary gains. And this is going to be a problem that will be that would have long term implications. Floods throughout the globe, and it needs to be addressed immediately. Otherwise, not only people would die, but infrastructure would be devastated, lifestyles would be interrupted, there would be huge economic impacts, and politics would start to get impacted as well as time passes on, because it is interconnected. When people would be facing these problems, I mean, I don't expect the government to clear this shit up though. It will probably happen on its own when the floods subside, but that just goes on to show that I don't have a lot of expectations for the government, do I? Mine, because this is a developing country, so they don't have funds to meet their fiscal debt prices and things like that, how are they going to rescue people who are stranded in floods? Will they come to their aid? Probably not. We don't have that many brilliant minds, perhaps, or there are similar problems, too many people. Whatever the case is, people suffer because of that. And I'm pretty sure the exact figures of the casualties and the losses is far greater than what has been reported. There are no insurance claims here. That's not a culture here. So people are not protected. They just get devastated. Oh, the rain just picked up the pace now. And yeah, there's usually no one here to help them out. Something needs to be done. Research needs to be done. Work needs to be done on coming up with solutions to these problems. Some countries need to take the charge. Australia can probably do that because it's much luckier than these developing countries where you don't have the facilities or the spare cash or the infrastructure or the universities or research centers where people would be willing to. People are just more fed up with their own problems as opposed to handling floodwaters and climate change and things like that. Their short-term problems are more of a concern as opposed to the long-term ones. And yeah, how you don't expect a lot of leisure activity and time or government funding or things like that, and most people are not die-hard environmentalists or climate conservationist type of stuff in their sorry for my English or this yeah the sentence I lost the grammar midway there was excuse. Anyhow, so basically the problems that most of the people are having are more focused on their survival, making ends meet from paycheck to paycheck. I doubt they get paychecks here, but basically they get from salary to salary. They try to make ends meet here because the cost of living is same, or at least closer to those that the developing countries have, but the wages they get are far lower, 5 times less, 4 times less. So that causes problems of its own. But that also presents the opportunity for the developing nations. The work they would do, like the work that Australia might do, would not just have an impact on fixing Australia's problems, but can also help out saving flood-related and climate-related disasters all across the globe. In countries where they don't have the financial capability or government focus, or because of many factors they are not focusing on these things, Australia can make up for that, and that would help humanity or Earth or billions of people actually, because billions of people are living in developing countries. It would help them out, and that would make a big difference. Yeah. Plus, you can do first-hand research as well in Australia, because it, for unfortunately, is also experiencing these disasters on a regular basis. So yeah, I mean it hasn't even rained that much, yet most of this road has been almost covered with water. Who knows how far things will go. I mean, look at that behind me. Can you see the donkey cart over there? That is how people live in Pakistan. They don't have the money or the infrastructure. How are they going to survive here? How are they going to live here? And yeah, that's a problem.